Tina from Shabby Dabby Doodle. Welcome back to my channel. So I had a request last week. Could I please show what we're making at the beginning? So I'm going to try and make an effort to do that. Now, I'm not saying that every week I will, you know, have time to do that, but if I do, I will try. So today we are making double policy envelopes. So this is what you're going to end up with, and obviously with a policy closure. So I haven't decorated this one, but this one obviously has got the policy closure. That's what we're going to end up with. So yep, join along with me to make some of these. My channel. So we're here for another one of our mass making sessions. We're up to week 292. We're doing 291 because we did 292 last week because I didn't have the correct papers. So we are making this week double policy envelope pockets, and yep, if you want to craft along, what will you need? So you will need some paper. Now my paper is 230 GSM. It's double-sided. You can use whatever paper that you like. I would recommend something thicker than copy paper. If you've got like a sort of thickish book page or something, probably work okay. Or scrapbook paper would be perfect. You know, anything like that. I wouldn't recommend anything too thin and flimsy, like I say. I would recommend double-sided because you're going to see the inside. They are, of course, an envelope, so you're going to see the insides of them. So that's your kind of like, you know, main piece of paper. Then you're going to need some other paper that you're going to put inside to make the double part of the policy envelope. So again, what I've got here, I've got some book pages, which are obviously just, you know, text. I won't be using the image ones. And I've also got some decorative papers, which are not double-sided because they don't need to be, which I'm going to fold in. Now these are 120 GSM, so these are much thinner than this paper. Obviously you could use this thicker paper as well, in which case you wouldn't need to double it over. You will obviously see when we're making these what I'm talking about, you know, with each of these things. You're going to need some scissors or a paper trimmer if you prefer to use a paper trimmer. You're going to need some glue. I have to be honest, these are probably one of those things that I would say are better if they're stitched. I probably will stick to gluing them for the video, or certainly a lot of them. Or I may just kind of like semi-assemble them and then stitch them afterwards. Again, I will try and show you, you know, one of each so you kind of get an idea for, you know, the differences. And then because they are policy closure envelopes, then what you will need is something to make your policy closure. So I really like to use brads, and I like to just have like some circles that I have ready punched. And that's how I kind of make my policy closure. So you're going to need those things to make your policy closure. Again, you'll need a hole punch, obviously, for your, you know, putting your brads in, or a, you know, poker tool or whatever, however you like to do your brads. And then you're going to need some sort of string, twine, you know, that type of thing to do your policy closure. I think that's everything. Did I say glue? If I didn't say glue, you're going to need some glue or a sewing machine. Right, I think that's everything. Aside from that, actually, the only other thing that I would say is you may want to have a, you know, glue spreader, which I like to use like an old card, and you may like to have a wipe. So let me just grab a wipe in just to kind of mop out any excess glue. And then of course you may want to have some, you know, blendy tool. What's going on? I still haven't ordered any more thingamabobs, you know, blendy sponges. I must do that. And yeah, blendy tool and some ink. Okay, so let's get on to making one of these. And yeah, let's kind of have a look and see how we do these. So, and I will try and remember to tell you the papers that I'm using, you know, for each time that I'm using a paper. Right, okay, so I'm going to use this paper here. Now, this is from my new Valentine's, from the Vault Valentine's papers, these are. So I just put these in last week. Okay, so what you're going to want to do, now depending on the size that you want your policy closure envelopes to be, but let's just say you want it like, you know, full height and, you know, kind of a big one. You're going to just take your paper, you're going to fold it in. Now decide which way round you want this. So, you know, depending which way you want to have kind of, yeah, your decorative kind of elements. Pick something that you're going to mix and match it with. So I'm thinking I could actually do it just with the dotty, but I'm going to actually put some book page in. So what I start with doing is fold my book page in half. That's going to thicken it up so that it's double thickness. Okay. Now that's going to just give me a guide for roughly where I want to fold this, if you see what I mean. So I'm just going to take it. That's how it would look with the, you know, book page poking out as kind of like half a pocket, and then this as the other sort of section of the pocket. So pop it like that and then just squish it down like that. Oh, my scissors are all sticky for some reason. You know why? I spilt a cup of tea yesterday. Not a whole cup, but it might as well have been a whole cup. And it's gone over my scissors. Right, so that's kind of your pocket here and pockets here. And then what you want to do is you just fold your, what's going to be your flap over. Now, I always like to leave a nice space here so that my pockets are nice and accessible. So I would kind of recommend just, you know, a little bit of a gap, you know, just enough so that you can kind of get in there nice and easily, like that. And then what you want to do is cut your flap down. So I'm going to just kind of like fold it over roughly here. This for me is how I kind of like to do my cutting. I was going to say to make a straight edge. I mean, I can see already that's not even straight on the folding, so it's definitely not going to be straight on the cutting, is it? If I've not even managed to do it straight on the folding. Right, so I'm going to take that out. I'm going to just cut this down. So, like that. Okay. So, cut my flap off. I will keep this because I could make like paper clips or something like that from that. Then what I'm going to do, I just want to cut my book page down. So I probably would quite like to have all text rather than like a sort of, you know, empty space and text, if you see what I mean. So I'm just going to take it like that and then like that. Okay, so, and I can trim this down in a minute. So take that like that. Okie dokie, glue your book page down. Oops. Oh my gosh, my glue's gone from one extreme to another. Okay, so glue that down like that. Let's just get my wipe there to mop out the excess glue. Like that, okay. Okie dokie. Now, if I was stitching this, I mean, to be honest, I'm not even sure that I would bother doing this. I would maybe just put my folded piece of book page into the pocket and stitch it around. So, I mean, you know, stitching, if you're kind of confident, if you've got a sewing machine, you know, and you're confident in using it with your papers, then it actually can be like a huge time saver. So, you know, it is worth kind of like having a go. You know, if you're confident to do that. So then you're going to just position this in here. Now I'm going to just literally pop some glue this edge and this edge, so like a belly band. The reason why I'm doing that rather than down here is because then I get the full range of this pocket rather than only the depth of the book page, if you see what I mean. So it's giving me a much bigger pocket. Okay, so like that, glue that down, and then this way again, glue that down. Okie dokie. And then what you want to do is obviously glue this side down here, so along that edge there, and then along that edge there, and then that's it. Just glue that down. Okie dokie. And that one. And then as you can see, you know, my book page is just slightly longer, so I'm just going to trim that out so as it looks neat and tidy. Okay. So just here. Just trim that. Just so as it's, you know, not overhanging. Okay. And then you've got your envelope flap, which is this section here. And then of course what you want to do is you want your policy closure pieces. So I just like to have a couple of circles, like I say, that are sort of ready punched out, that I can just make my policy closure one there. And then, you know, one here. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to put this on here yet, because I probably would want to decorate this. And obviously, once my policy closure's on, it's going to affect how I decorate this. So, you know, depending on what I put here, I may prefer to have this over here, you know, or I may prefer it very close. Or, you know, maybe I will stick something down here that actually I'll just have the string coming out from under there. But hopefully you can kind of see where we're going with this. And then, of course, you'd, you know, wrap your policy closure around here and wrap it around to that one. So that's kind of all there is to them. So they're a really, really nice envelope pocket, because you've got a massive, massive pocket here. Obviously, I need to be careful because it's not glued down. But you've got a massive, massive pocket there. And then you've got this, again, another really huge pocket. You know, so you can get a lot of stuff in these. Obviously, if you decide that you want this a bit smaller, you can just trim it down in terms of the, you know, the height of it. If you wanted, you could make it, you know, half size, something like that. I have to be honest, I'm not sure I've ever made them half size. I have definitely cut them down and made them smaller, but I don't know whether I've made them that small. So that's all there is to them. So they're a little bit faffy, but definitely worth the effort. So that's that one. I'm just going to pop that under my chair. Not under my chair, under my bum. So as I'm sat on it, because then it will stay glued down. Right, so let's do another one, but this time let's sew it so that you can see kind of the difference with the sewing. So again, this is another one from my new Valentine's papers. So, okie dokie. Right, so again, I'm going to start with folding in my book page. So, like that. Okie doke. Okay, and then, again, you just want to kind of decide. Oh, this is my totally dotty paper on the inside, and it was on the other one as well. So you just want to decide which way round you want your piece to go. So do you want it that way or that way? I'm going to have it this way. Okay, so pop your book page in. I don't know what's happened with that. I've not now folded that very straight, which is just typical because it's got a line, which makes it really obvious that it's not cut, not folded straight. So just try that again. Oh my gosh, it's actually getting worse. I don't know what's going on today. I'm having one of those horrible clumsy fingers and thumbs days, obviously. Which is, oh look, I'm making this worse and worse. Let me just start a new one, because obviously when you use kind of actual vintage book page, which this is, it sometimes is quite brittle. So if I keep on folding it and refolding it, it will just end up, you know, too damaged to use. Right, that's much better. I just wasn't happy with having those really not straight lines. Okay, so then take that, and then obviously you're folding your piece up to roughly where you think you want it to go. So yeah, let's say here. Again, squish that down like that. So this one, I might make this smaller, you know, like we talked about just now. So again, you want to leave just, you know, a sort of good amount of room that you're going to be able to tuck things into the pocket nice and easily. Fold that flap down like that. Again, this is where I like to use my scissor handle, almost like a bone folder, to squish it down like that and like that. What I might do for this one is I might cut it here and here. So I cut off kind of the lined paper, or some of the lined paper. So I'm just going to cut it in here like this, and I'm leaving the book page in there so that hopefully, you know, I've cut it all down kind of like roughly to the right size. In fact, to be honest, that might be good enough. So yeah, let's just take that down. Oops, by accidentally cut in a little bit onto this paper. So, oh, I'm making this really not good. So sorry, I don't know what's going on with my cutting skills today. Well, I mean, not saying I've got any cutting skills, but hey, They're worse than ever today if I did have them. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull my sewing machine up. Now, up to you really. You could stitch along here, this edge. I probably won't, if I'm honest. I'm just going to actually stick it, you know, straight into there. But what I'm going to do, just so that I don't have any kind of like accidents, I'm just going to pop a little tiny bit of glue there. So if you can see, just a really titchy little bit, just to hold it in place when I'm at the sewing machine. Now that's because I am not a very good sewer. Machinist. I don't think they're called sewers, are they? No, I'm not a very good machinist. And especially today, as I'm not even a very good cutter, then my sewing machine skills are going to be even worse, aren't they? So that way, it's just held in place, whereas otherwise I could end up coming unstuck. Oh, excuse the bum there. Coming unstuck at the sewing machine. So yeah, just kind of get it in place. And just that little tiny bit of glue is just going to hold that exactly where it needs to be. Oh my gosh. Making such a hash of this. I don't know why I'm making such a meal of this. Right, there we go. So let me pull my sewing machine up. Okey-doke. Oh my gosh, what's going on here now? I've got something hooked on my sewing machine. Right, okay. Right, there we go. It's always a bit of a hazard on my floor. Right, move my hot glue gun out of the way. Okay, so I'm just going to show you. Basically, all I would actually do is stitch it here. Up to you if you stitch this edge. Got to be honest, sometimes with envelopes I do stitch, you know, this edge, sometimes I don't. I mean, in some ways it kind of takes more time to take it off and restitch this edge than go right the way round. So, you know, from that point of view, it maybe is quicker. So, gonna go in, whoops. Now, when you start it off, I just like to do a bit of a back stitch, just so it's not gonna have a vulnerable point there where it's coming undone. Okay, and then I can just, oops. Oh my goodness, after all that, would you believe my bobbins now run out? Ah, it's gonna be one of those days. It's horrible, because you know when those days start out like that? Oh no, and I thought I had some bobbins ready threaded, but I haven't. Right, I'm gonna just rethread a bobbin. Oh, can't even speak now. Rethread a bobbin and then I'll be back. Hold on. Right, I'm back. So fingers crossed we're going to have more luck this time. Right, just can now start halfway down there because obviously I did have some thread at first. So yep, just going back in. Just finish this one. Now I will go right the way round, you know, down the bottom for this. But like I say, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. You know, it actually, I just think sometimes is quicker to just go right the way across. You know, than do like the back stitching and the cutting your thread and then, you know, move it over and restart. So up to you really how you do it. Now, let's just quickly show you the difference between the stitched and the glued one. And I think you will probably agree that, to be honest, in this particular instance, the glued one is nicer. Did we cut that flap down? Don't think we did. So I'm just going to cut this flap down here. I'm going to try and use this bit as a guide rather than fold it. So who knows whether that will work. Okay, not too bad. So I've got a longer flap on this, but you know, that's the thing. You can adjust them as you see, you know, see fit. So this is the one obviously that we didn't stitch. This is the glued one and this is the stitched one. Like I say, I think this is one of the few things that actually I think really are probably nicer being stitched. But that being said, you know, if you haven't got a sewing machine or you're not confident sort of sewing paper on your, you know, sewing machine, don't let it put you off, because 100%, you know, I would use this and I have used the glued ones. But I just think actually if you are confident and you're willing to, you know, use your sewing machine with paper, I think it is probably worth it in these particular, you know, envelope instances. Right, I'm going to go back to stitching on that just in case it's still not glued. And again, then I would put my policy closure on this side and my twine around there. But you've got then a really good roomy pocket there and a really good roomy pocket there. So, you know, they're super nice, aren't they, to be honest? And the other advantage, obviously, if you're stitching them rather than gluing them, I'm not now having to sit on this. It's finished. So, you know, it's up to you kind of how you do them. But yeah, you might want to kind of bear that in mind. So hopefully that's kind of like straightforward enough, and we will just now get and make some of these. So I'm going to do them like assembly style, so by doing all my certain things first, so my folding of my papers. So I might mix and match some of these papers. Now one of these I did have a mishap on the printer and I ended up with things that I didn't think really looked great together. That's the one. Not the best probably. But what I might do is try and make a smaller one here. So in fact, let's do this quickly before we get on to doing our mass make. I did say, didn't I, that I'd never done a half size one. So let's try this quickly now. Okay, so I'm just going to cut my paper in half. So obviously the concept of this is exactly the same. I'm just not sure shape wise whether this is going to look, you know, aesthetically kind of pleasing. So decide again which way round you want them. Now obviously, like I say, I kind of messed this up when I printed and I wouldn't necessarily have put these papers together. This is my vintage desk set 4 or 5, and this is my vintage floral set 3. So yeah, I wouldn't have necessarily put these things together, but you know, that's fine. We're just gonna go with them anyway. So I'm gonna have it, I think, yeah, like that. So obviously I'm going to need my inner envelope piece. Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? Because it would have been just fine, but it's again something else that doesn't really go, so not great. Oh my gosh, that's not going to go either. I'm going to end up with like loads of different florals in here if I'm not careful. So yeah, probably best I don't do that. Oh gosh, all that. Oh, I thought I had a few. All right. Oh, let's just do more book page, shall we? That one's got an image on it. I love the ones with images, so I don't want to use those. Right, okay, so could actually have it this way round for this. So like that. Okay. I'm just going to cut that down there. Okay. Obviously I need to cut it down to sort of more like the size of the actual envelope itself. I'm still just deciding, do I actually definitely want to have it like that? Oh, isn't it annoying when you're like torn between the papers to use? Right, we're going to have it like this. So yeah, I would have it like that. Then obviously fold my piece in here. Let's just check that I've got it kind of straight. Yep, straightish anyway. This is going to go in here like that. And then fold my envelope flap over here like that. Okay. And then again, you know, I could either leave that or cut this down. Might just, I mean, to be honest, it's not bad like that. Well, I might just trim it down very slightly. Probably made a horrible job of that. There we go. So again, I will probably stitch this after the video because I do think, you know, like I say, that I do prefer the stitching. But once we obviously cut the book page down to the size of the actual envelope. Oops. Terrible today. Absolutely dreadful. Okie dokie, and then this side. And that's what you'd have there. So you've got your pocket there and your pocket there. So, you know, they actually I do really like them, even as the smaller ones. Again, probably the smaller ones I would be more inclined to glue into a journal. The bigger ones, I've got to be honest, I would be more likely to just paper clip in or, you know, hook over a page, something like that. So yeah, definitely worth making some smaller ones, because I think they're really lovely, to be honest. And yeah, they actually work really nicely. So yep, that's how you would make a smaller one. And again, you would then just put your policy closure on exactly the same with your, you know, little circles and your string. And that's exactly then, you know, the same as the big ones. So yep, I'm going to put that to one side. Right, okay, so we're going to like assembly line these. So all I'm going to do, I'm just going to fold my pages in half. Now hopefully the rest of them are hopefully got like coordinating things on the insides and the outsides. Just going to see if I've got, because I did bring these along thinking I would use them, and now I'm like, what was I thinking? Why did I bring them along? No. Right, okay, so I'm only going to be able to use this polka dot paper. These papers aren't going to go with the papers that I've brought along. So exactly the same as we did with the book page, I would just fold this into half like that, and then I can obviously, you know, pop that into one of the envelopes instead of book page, and that would work then just as well. So let's count how many sheets of paper I've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to make 6, okay? So I just need 6 sheets, well 5 sheets now of this, because I've already got the polka dot. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay. So yeah, we'll just fold those in. So yeah, we can just relax now, have a lovely catch up, and hopefully just a nice productive kind of like 45 minutes or so. So yeah, I hope everybody is doing well. I hope you've all had a fantastic week. For those of you who watch my channel, you'll know that I generally film these on a Monday to go up for you guys on the Tuesday. So my week's literally only just started. What have I been up to? Well, the usual thing really, not much. Not much. Honestly, I've been embarrassed. I mean, really, I should sort of, yeah, just do some stuff so I've got some things to talk about. But, oh, my life's so boring. I do literally not anything of any note, which is really dull, really dull. Oh my gosh. I don't know whether it's me actually, or whether these book pages are a little bit weird, because no matter how many times I try and line it up, you know, like with the bottom, it still goes wonky. So that's, yeah, that can't be me, surely. Anyway, yeah, so my week's only just started. What have I been doing? Did we go to the cinema last week? No. Yes, we did. We went and watched, oh gosh, what's it called? Oh, what was it called? What was it called? Sorry, I'm just still messing about with this, trying to get it not wonky. Oh my goodness, what was it we saw? Right. I keep going to say it's called Say It Isn't So. That's not what it's called. It was So Is This On? Or This Is On. Something like that, anyway. The lady in it, you'd recognise her. She's been in quite a lot of things. The guy in it, I didn't recognise him, to be honest. He had a little bit of a look of Tim Allen every now and then. And I thought, is that Tim Allen? But other times he didn't look like him at all. So, yeah. Anyway, it was quite good. I mean, weirdly, it looked like it was going to be really good in the trailer. And we'd sort of looked forward to it coming out. It wasn't as good as it looked, you know, in the trailer. Like all these things, you know, turns out not to be quite as good as it looks in the trailer. But it was okay. It was, you know, it was perfectly, yeah, worth watching. I wouldn't necessarily say it's worth going to the cinema for, if I'm honest. Oh, I might as well do all my folding, actually. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it was worth the trip to the cinema. I mean, worth a watch on Netflix, yeah, probably. But worth going to the cinema, probably not. So, yeah. But it was okay. So, yeah, we went to see that. Aside from that, what else have we done? yeah, nothing. I just worked at the weekend. So yeah, my daughter went on a sleepover on Saturday night. So she actually ended up being gone from, I don't know, like Saturday afternoon, late Saturday afternoon, and then she didn't come back till late-ish Sunday afternoon. So yeah, she had a lovely time there. So she always says it's her friend, you know, her rich friend. They've got a really lovely house apparently, and yeah, they've obviously got lots of, you know, like gimmicks and gadgets and all of that kind of stuff. Because she said to me, "Oh, Mum, their lights, they're controllable with Alexa." So I said, "Oh, you know," I said, "Is that in every room?" She said, "No, just in one room, I think." She said, yeah, but they've got, you know, like lots of things in the garden, like, you know, lots of, yeah, gadgets and all of that kind of thing all around their house. So, you know, all things that obviously are very exciting, you know. So yeah, anyway, she had a obviously lovely time there at their, you know, lovely high-tech kind of modern house. So that's what she did. And so yeah, I just kind of cashed in by working really. So that was okay. Yeah, my son, he was kind of like just working as well. So yeah, didn't really see much of him either. But, you know, that's fine. What have I been watching? So I have watched a couple of things. So I watched something called Alias Grace. Yeah, Alias Grace. Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. It was, yeah, it was quite good. It kind of was unexpected. It wasn't how I imagined it to be when I saw it, you know, advertised. But, you know, I did quite enjoy it. So let me do it this way around, I think. So yeah, if you see that at all, you know, possibly, actually, I think I need to do this in the other way. Yeah, possibly that's worth a watch if you see that on Netflix. Don't know whether it would have been set in, I'm not very good at sort of guessing when things are set really, but I don't know, early 1900s, something like that. Yeah, anyway, it was good. So, and I just finished that last night. I think it was just a 5-part thing. But yeah, quite enjoyed that. So that's probably the main thing that I watched. I watched the documentary of Lucy Letby. Now, yeah, always kind of like risky, like touching on things that are a little bit, you know, hot topics, I suppose, like in the news. But yeah, so she is a nurse here in the UK who she's currently in prison, serving prison time for the murder of, I think it was 8 babies, which is obviously a horrific, awful crime. I don't know what to think, if I'm honest. Since watching the documentary, I'm not quite sure what to think really. I mean, obviously, absolutely horrendous, you know, for those parents and things of babies, you know, that, I mean, you can't imagine a worse thing than, you know, your baby dying in the first place. And then, of course, you know, then, but it potentially could have been a, you know, murder rather than a, you know, a sort of natural death. I don't know. I don't know what to think. I mean, on the one hand, you can't actually quite believe that anybody at all would do something like that. You know, it would be so completely wicked that, yeah, you just, you know, your brain can't quite comprehend that anyone could actually do that. I don't know what to think. Anyway, it was, yeah, sort of interesting. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, probably, yeah, I would say worth a watch. I mean, obviously it didn't really kind of like tell you anything, you know, like more upsetting than the facts that you've heard on the news, if you see what I mean. So, you know, it was horrendous, horrific thing to hear in the first place. So, you know, those details already have been shared, if you see what I mean. So, yeah, anyway, yeah, don't know what to make of that documentary. So yeah, let me know. Have you watched it? What did you think? I mean, just like I say, it's one of those kind of like such a horrendous thing. I mean, I just don't know, to be honest, what to think. You know, I mean, obviously, I think it was kind of like at first, you know, she happened to be the nurse who was on shift, and it turned out she was on shift for every single death that occurred, which, you know, wow, that's a lot of deaths, isn't it? You know, it was, I think, over quite a short period of time. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to kind of vocalise anything either way, because obviously, you know, if she was innocent, I don't want to kind of say things that would be, you know, awful. You know, because imagine if you were innocent of that and you were accused of that. But equally, I mean, imagine if she wasn't innocent, and, you know, I mean, imagine just what kind of person does things like that. So, yeah, I don't know what to think, to be honest. You know, just kind of shocking that that is even, you know, is even potentially a thing, or was a thing, or, you know, yeah. Anyway, so, yeah, that's something else I watched. I watched something else, I think, and I can't remember now what that was. Oh, I can't think what the other thing was that I did watch. Sure, it was something sort of a famous person. Oh, I watched the Marilyn Monroe documentary on Amazon Prime. Yeah, so again, kind of like, you know, puts question marks over, you know, was her death kind of natural causes, or, well, not natural causes, obviously, but, you know, kind of, was it as, oh, I don't know, you know, was there a third party involved? Let's just say that. I don't know. Again, I just left, like, not knowing what to think, really. So they put forward the arguments in a way that you're kind of like, oh, I don't know now what to think. So, yeah, anyway, that was quite good. Quite worth a watch. So, yeah, I have watched a few quite good things, to be honest. I'm just loving watching, you know, like I said lately, you know, liking watching box sets rather than trying to choose something to watch every day, you know, like a film or whatever to watch. I mean, I find that just so infuriating. You know, and so hit and miss, to be honest. So if you can hit on a series that then it's like, oh, it's really good, then that's much better, isn't it? I have now seen the full trailer for Devil Wears Prada. I think last week when we spoke, I think I'd only seen the teaser. So I've seen the full trailer now. Oh my goodness. It looks so good. I literally cannot wait. Cannot wait. I think I said last week, I'm sure it's the 1st of May it's coming out over here. Maybe it's coming out different dates elsewhere. But yeah, oh my gosh. Cannot wait for that. That's, oh, it'll be so good. And do you know what? I still haven't Googled how old Meryl Streep was. I know I said last week, didn't I, that, oh, I must Google how old Meryl Streep is. Still haven't, so still none the wiser. I'm just deciding which end to cut off. Yeah, so still none the wiser how old she is. But, yeah, can't wait to watch that. Like, wow. It's going to be so good. Well, I hope it's going to be so good. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be good. It's all the same cast. So Stanley Tucci, you know, the guy who was the, you know, Miranda's kind of like right-hand man. He's in it. And obviously he was in the first one. So, yeah, I like it when the cast kind of like is, you know, the continuity from like first and second ones. And also, I just think it really kind of... Sorry, I thought that was upside down for a minute. It's the sign of like a good cast, isn't it? You know, that they're all back for the sequel. You know, they obviously all kind of like enjoyed it. They obviously got on and all of those kinds of things. So it's, you know, it's like a good, yeah, good sign of a good, you know, good film and all of that, I think, or a good filming environment, perhaps I should say. Not a good film, but, you know, a good filming environment. You know, that they're all kind of involved again in like a sequel. So, yeah, cannot wait for that. Got a booking on our house, you know, for the events that we rent our house out, you know, a couple of times a year. So, yeah, got a booking for one of those at the weekend. So that's good. That's a relief that we've got a booking for that. I mean, already I'm just going to be moaning about that now. But, yeah, that's not until September. So we have some breathing space before then. Yeah, so, you know, we obviously had to move out of our house and, you know, do that. But, yeah, anyway, it was good to get the booking. So, yeah, that feels, you know, like you know where you are then. So, going to book us a caravan. Don't know if you recall, but last year when we moved out, we went to stay with my parents and then I got COVID at the time. And so, you know, my dad has had cancer recently. And so he's like a vulnerable person medically, you know, so of course, you know, I didn't want to be staying there with COVID. I mean, imagine if I gave him something, you know, that would be awful. And, you know, more to the point is they didn't want us staying there. And obviously then I had COVID. So, yeah, we quickly then, on the first night we got there when I wasn't feeling well, you know, having kind of moved out of our house and I felt really awful that day. I'd felt really ill. Yeah, then it obviously transpired I then had COVID. But, I mean, I didn't know that at the time. I thought I just had, like, a cold, you know. But I felt really not very well at all. But, obviously, I was kind of, like, cleaning and moving out of our house. So, you know, I just kind of thought, oh, it's because I've been doing that and I've got the cold and things, you know, I feel fine. But, yeah, I actually felt quite rubbish for, you know, several days. A couple of weeks, I think. Anyway, so we booked a caravan, and the lady in that caravan, she had messaged me afterwards. In fact, she phoned me afterwards and she'd said about, you know, do you do that every year? You know, perhaps we could do like a deal next year. So I might give her a call or a text or something and just see whether, you know, that's still a possibility, because, you know, we know where that is and it was all fine. The dog could go there as well. So, you know, it was, yeah, it was pet friendly and, you know, it would just be kind of like easy to just be like, that's done. We've booked that, you know, that's what we're doing. So, yeah, I might give her a call, to be honest. And we'll see whether, you know, that might be the best option, I think. So, yeah, I said about it to my son and said, what did he think? Now, obviously last year, because it's on a caravan site, right, you know, right on the beach kind of thing. And we could have had such a lovely time. Now, I've got to be honest, we didn't have a lovely time. A, because I was really not feeling very well at all with the COVID. And B, it was the most vile weather. So, yeah, it was chucking it down. I think it was actually even quite cold. It was not good at all. And so I think the whole time that we stayed there, I think we were there for 4 nights or 5 nights. I mean, we literally only went out of the caravan. Well, I say we. Obviously, I had to go out every day to take my daughter to school and things. But actually going out of the caravan, aside from essential journeys, i.e. taking my daughter to school, I actually don't think I went out the caravan for the whole week. I think we went out once, just to like have a little bit of a walk around and get some fresh air. Oh, maybe twice. I maybe walked Bow one day because I'd just been like working and, you know, feeling sorry for myself. So I thought, oh, you know, I need to get out and get some fresh air. So we literally just went for like a, you know, 10-minute walk around the block. And then, you know, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so lovely. We're right on the beach, you know, it feels proper like being on holiday, if only the weather was better. So then at the weekend, because I think that was on like, let's say the Thursday or the Friday. And then at the weekend, I'd said to my son and my daughter, let's have a quick walk around the site. And we did. And that's when we said, you know, oh, if the weather had been lovely and I didn't have COVID, it would have felt like being on holiday. So yeah, we would have had a really nice time. Right, I'm going to pull my sewing machine in. I know that I do normally say that I don't do the sewing and the mask making because I want to make them really as accessible for everybody. But to be honest, I don't want to have to like sit on them waiting for them all to dry for ages. And I do really love how this one turned out. So I'm going to very quickly pull my sewing machine up and we'll just do those. Now, I can't actually see how long I've been filming for, but to be honest, I probably will only actually be able to stitch 1 or 2, and then it will be time to just decorate one. So we'll just do literally 1 or 2, and then we'll decorate one. So now again, I've not done that little trick of gluing this, so I may come to regret this, but I'm going to just go in and hope for the best here. So fingers crossed that I'm not going to mess this up. Okie dokie. Oh my gosh, I am messing it up. It was knocking against something else on the desk and it was pushing it out. So yeah, not the best. Okay. Like that. We've had loads more rain, I have to say. It's been just like endless rain. Today, touch wood, not raining, and actually doesn't look like it's going to rain. It kind of looks almost like the sun could come out later. Don't know what the forecast is actually for today, but yeah, it looks like actually we could have a nice day on the cards, but we shall see. But yeah, it's been horrendous, like literally non-stop rain. It's so depressing. Well, I mean, to be honest, I say depressing. I mean, actually, I quite like it. You know, if I'm working, I don't want it to be lovely because then I feel guilty for not being outside enjoying the weather. So, yeah, in some ways it's kind of like, oh, well. Oh, well, I don't mind. I'm just in working anyway. I'm not missing anything. There's nothing going on outside. The weather's rubbish, you know. Might as well be working. Okay, we'll just do this one and then we'll decorate one, I think. So again, just do that back stitching just so that you kind of get it properly secured, you know. Okay. Oh, so I have bought today, on my way back from the gym, I stopped to buy the ingredients for a meatballs and couscous dish that I used to cook all the time. Now, I've talked about this before, but I mean, honestly, I actually used to really love cooking. I know, hard to believe because I don't do any cooking now, but yeah, I did actually really like cooking. And don't know really what went on, but I just, you know, I think kind of after a while you just think, oh, do you know, I've had enough of cooking. Everyone complains and don't want, you know, want what you've eaten and things. And then of course, you know, I got a divorce, so there were less of us. And then, you know, my son went to work, so he'd then be like, oh, don't cook for me tonight because, you know, I'm going here after work. And, you know, then even my daughter was just like, oh, don't make anything for me, mum, you know, because I'm just going to have, you know, she'll have like a pizza or she'll like have some chicken from the air fryer, and maybe she doesn't want to eat, you know, at the time that I want to eat. So yeah, we ended up, we're all just, you know, just doing our own thing, which is obviously not conducive really to family life, but anyway, that just is how it's gone, unfortunately. Anyway, we'd said a few months ago or a few weeks ago that we were going to start having like, you know, one night a week where we had a family meal, and that went out the window. Might have been after Christmas, I think. Anyway, we're going to get back to doing that. So tonight I have planned, I'm going to make this couscous and meatballs that, like I say, I used to make all the time. And you know, it's so weird. I'm so out of practice from cooking. I actually feel kind of like nervous for cooking it. It's not a complicated dish or anything like that, but I'm like, oh, I hope that it turns out nice, you know. Especially when you've like then looked forward to it all day, because then you're like, oh, I really can't wait to eat it. I hope it's not going to be a disappointment. Right, okay, now I can't remember even whether I did tell you the papers that I used for all of these. This one here is the From the Vault, I think it was set 2. These were all from the Valentine's, From the Vault Valentine's. And then the insides, they are all from the Totally Dotty. These two are from the Avery papers. This one is from the blues and browns, and this one is from the duck egg colours. So that's those. And then the insides of both of these are from the Vintage Florals set 1. This was the Birds 2 collection. So, yeah, super pretty. And then the inside again was the Vintage Florals set 1. And then this here is that Vintage Florals set 3, which I'd only put these in my shop the week before last. Oh, I'm loving these so much, honestly. I've been loving them. Yeah, so that's those. Right, now also last week I put in my shop some Valentine's, like fussy cut type pieces. Now when I say Valentine's, they don't say the word Valentine or anything like that on there, and I think, you know, they would definitely be fine for any time of year, you know. Exactly the same with the from the Vault Valentines. Again, they don't say Valentine's anywhere. You might have the odd, you know, I'm not saying the odd, they do have a love kind of like theme, but, you know, not necessarily Valentine's. So I think, again, nice and, you know, generic, can use them anywhere. Right, so I'm going to decorate one of these, and I'm going to use one of the Valentine's images on here. I think the ephemera part, I think, was a 6-page printable, and you get like an envelope and things as well. So yeah, they're really nice. And these gorgeous fussy cuts. Now, which one shall I use? I'm loving her, so I might have to use her. So let's just take that down. So again, whenever I use kind of like a fussy cut type piece, I do tend to always print it on a nice thick paper. So this is the 230 GSM sort of paper / card. It just makes them really stand out, I think. So yeah. Now, I'm not sure how I'm going to cut this out. I haven't tried cutting one of these out, but I will probably sort of, not necessarily kiss cut, but not really close fussy cut, if you see what I mean. So a bit sort of between the two. And I'm not going to probably include all the little itty bits that are around there. I'm just going to like sort of snip around. If I was kiss cutting this, which, you know, my understanding, the kiss cutting is when you do the, you know, the white space around the edge, if you see what I mean. Then I would definitely go around every single little bit. But because I'm sort of doing like a cross between the two, just going to include some and not include others. So actually, I'm not going to bother including that. Oh. There we go. And I say this all the time. I mean, you know, when you kind of like come to these shaped pieces, instead of kind of like being put off and thinking, oh, you know, that looks a bit intimidating, which, you know, I fully used to feel that way myself. And hey, I still do, to be fair. But in some ways, I find these less intimidating and scary than like a circle, which has to be spot on perfect. Something like this, I mean, nobody really knows what shape this was in the first place. I mean, obviously, you know, it was a heart shape. So long as it maintains its actual, you know, that's still a heart. No one really knows that this had these little kind of leaves and flowers around the edge. So, you know, don't kind of get too stressed if they're not, you know, if you're not cutting it quite 100%. That's what I always think. The same as like flowers or anything else. I mean, like these, just kind of like cutting them as best I can. And to be honest, you know, I will have edges that are left on the piece of paper. Again, doesn't really matter. Nobody really knew what exact shape they were. So, I mean, that's how they look. And that's the bit that's left on the paper. So, you know, don't kind of get too too stressed. Now, do I want to have it on this one, or do we want to do this one? Oh, I don't know. I love them both. Oh, should we do the black one? I do always just love having, like, you know, the black kind of look. You know, it's very striking, isn't it? So, and these, obviously, these Valentine's papers, they really coordinate brilliantly with the Vintage Florals set 3 because, you know, lots of the images, these are, you know, the Vintage Floral set 3. So you've got like a brilliant overlap between the two kind of sets. So, And I really like that, because then that really makes your papers go a lot further, you know, a long, long way, because they all kind of like overlap and sort of marry up with each other. So because this, I would possibly just have obviously paper clipped in or hooked into a page, I would then ink up the front and the back. If I were gluing it in, obviously I would just, you know, just ink up this front bit and the creases and things. But yeah, because obviously this is going to be like sort of hooked in, I will do the back as well. To do the line here of the pocket, I just like to sort of put something in there, just so the ink's not going all over the underneath paper. But that's just a quick way to then just be able to ink up those edges like that. Okay, and then we'll just ink up just the back as well, like that. Just want to say a massive thank you to anybody who's purchased anything either from my Etsy shop or from my website. So yep, I really, really appreciate your support. Massive thank you there. You know, really, really grateful for that. Or for anyone who's bought me a coffee on my Ko-fi or my Buy Me a Coffee page, or left me a super thanks. So yeah, thank you so, so much. It really is much appreciated. And obviously without those, you know, without that, I wouldn't be able to sort of continue doing this. So yeah, thank you so, so much. Right, now I'm just going to pull in, I've got some black lace here. Not sure. Right, let's just take a little bit here. I can maybe have this hanging out from her, like that. Oh, very pretty. Right, now, just need to remember I'm going to be putting a policy closure. So if I'm doing that, I may want to have her either lower, or my policy closure is going to go over the top of her. So I just need to kind of like factor that in. So if she was up here, my policy closure would be somewhere on her, or I could have her further down, and then, you know, it's not really going to be in the way of her. Oops. So like that, or oops, or closer together like that. Yeah. Or I could have her up the top. Let's just see. Right, I'm going to have her down the bottom, I think. Right, so let's have her there. Just going to glue the bit of lace down here a bit, just so it's held in place. Oh my gosh, come on, glue. I do still have a couple of journals, and I also have a folio still on my website. So yeah, if you are wanting to head over and have a look, then they are still on there. Okay. Yeah, gonna put her like that. So I'm gonna hot glue her down, so she's gonna then go straight over the lace and everything. It will just help to hold the lace in place, and also I'm going to put quite a bit of glue on here, so she's got a slightly raised kind of effect, you know. She's a bit semi 3D. Not fully 3D, but just a little bit. There we go, like that. Okay, let's just ink up my circles. Oops, like that. And it's going to be Valentine's Day, isn't it? I don't know when Valentine's Day is. What's the date today? The 9th. Valentine's, does that make it Friday? Friday or Saturday? I don't know. Yeah, do you celebrate Valentine's Day? What do you do? Do you go out? Are you married, or are you, you know, have you got like a partner or a boyfriend, or, you know, yeah, do you go out? I mean, my husband and I, we didn't used to celebrate Valentine's Day, but hey, maybe that's why I'm divorced now, you know, because maybe you need to kind of keep that romance going a little bit more. I'm sure probably that's true. I'm sure you probably do, to be honest. Might have a rose up there rather than on her. Right, let's punch a hole. I've taken to just punching a hole for my brads now. I used to mess about with the pokey tools, but to be honest, it's so much quicker to actually get like a big hole that's really easy enough to put your brad through. So I don't mess about with the pokey tool anymore. I just do it with the crocodile. Yeah, I mean, do people even celebrate Valentine's anymore? I don't know whether it's really necessarily a thing. Oops. I mean, I'd like to. I would like to. It's not that I wouldn't like to. I would. But yeah, do people really bother with it? I don't know. I mean, I guess they probably do. It's nice if people do. There we go. I mean, I haven't heard my daughter talking about it, you know, like sort of, I mean, she's 12. She's in her first year of like secondary school. It's kind of at that age, you know, where she definitely, you know, she sees boys that she fancies, you know, so she's of that age now. But yeah, I haven't heard her saying like, oh, it's Valentine's Day. You know, when we were at school, I feel like I probably did talk about it a bit, you know, or maybe she just talks about it with her friends. Yeah, I've talked about it with my mum. Maybe not. I don't know. It's hard to remember, isn't it, to be honest? But, yeah, I don't know. I always remember this boy, Robert, his name was, and he bought me a little teddy bear for Valentine's. I think he left it on, a swing. We used to go and hang out at the park, you know, and yeah, he left it on the swing for me, which was quite cute. I don't know whether he was at the park. I can't actually remember that. Anyway, it's yeah, it's such a shame because he's passed away now. So yeah, I mean, we were then friends, like as kids, kind of thing. But I was probably like 13 at the time, I suppose. And he was obviously the same sort of age, but yeah, he left me a little teddy bear on a swing, and I've probably still got it somewhere in the loft if I had a look. But yeah, unfortunately he's passed away, so he definitely was not any good age. I mean, I think it might have been maybe during COVID when he passed away. He didn't pass away from COVID, but I'm not actually sure how he passed away. Yeah. I think he liked to drink, and I don't know whether it was, related to that, or I don't know, to be honest. Obviously you hear rumours, don't you? But yeah, very sad anyway, because he, must have only been like late 40s. And I remember another boy, Howard, his name was. I didn't really ever know him particularly, to be honest, but he bought me a necklace one year. But yeah, and when you look back now, I'm like, wasn't I mean? But I didn't really kind of, I'm not saying didn't like him, that's really mean to say that, but yeah, definitely didn't fancy him. And he was a bit sort of stalkery. I mean, I don't know what happened to him, to be honest. I haven't seen him for years and years, but yeah, I mean, hopefully he's had a lovely life, and is married and probably got, maybe even grandchildren now. But yeah, anyway, it just used to annoy me in the end, oh, he's here again, I never hear my daughter say things like that, so yeah. But yeah, isn't it funny, the things that you remember? But I mean, we all remember things like that, because I mean, my sister sometimes would say, oh, do you remember that Howard, who used to like follow you about? And it was like, oh gosh, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I was probably similar age, 13, 14, that sort of age. And now I'm like, was it a necklace or did he buy me a teddy? That might have been a teddy as well, actually. Don't know where I got the necklace thing from. I'm like, was that a thing? Don't know now. Anyway, yeah. funny things that we remember. Right, there we go. Okay, and yep, let's have a bit of bling on here, because definitely always love a bit of bling. Oops. Okay. Now, do we want the bling here, like on there, or do we want it on the red? Haven't used this red lace for ages. I've had quite a bit of this red lace over the years, and it's one of those that comes out normally at Christmas time, I think. But yeah, I fancy putting it on this one because it looks lovely on here, doesn't it? Okay, right, let's get my baker's twine. So what I do, I'm just going to ink my baker's twine up a little bit. I have already got some ink on there from previously, you know, using it another time, but just put a bit more on it. Just making it nice and sort of vintagey looking. Okay, and then just use that away. I've been busy making toppers at the weekend to put into my shop because I've had a couple of requests for toppers. Now, I have to say, they're quite time consuming, so I haven't actually made that many. So I probably will try and make a few more before I actually put them into my shop. So yeah, I'm not sure when they'll go in, but perhaps next week. I will try and make, like I say, I'll try and make some more first. But yeah, then they're probably going next week. But so yeah, to the couple of people who had said, you know, could I put some more tops in, I am trying to work on that. And then I have got some other things that also people have requested, which I'm also trying to make. But all these things take time, don't they? So yeah, I've taken on board, you know, the things that people have requested, but just kind of a case of, you know, get time to actually do them. So, but eventually they will hopefully make an appearance. Right, let's just sit that down. Okay, I don't know what's happened there, but that looks really thick, doesn't it? I must have knotted that in a really lumpy way or something. There we go. Okay, now where shall I have these roses? I could either have them up there or I could have them down here. I think maybe down there. So again, just going to hot glue them so they're sort of like sticking up a bit. Like that. I have got some of my labels. I just spotted this one of my French labels. This one was just floating about, but it happens to be black. So I'm like, ooh, let's try this. There we go. Right, do I want that down there or kind of like up here? It's quite nice there or there. Oh, it's nice everywhere. It's one of those that looks good everywhere you put it. So now I'm like a bit stumped for where's it best. Oh, I love it everywhere. Right, do we like it best down there? Do we like it best here? Do we like it best here? I just don't know. Oh, I'm going to put it here. Yeah, let's hope I've made the right choice. Let me know below what you think. Did I make the right choice? Probably not. Probably not, I suspect. But yeah, let's pop it there. Okay, right. So that's that. Just trimmed on that lace as well. So they're super lovely envelopes, aren't they? Like I say, I mean, if you haven't got a sewing machine, gluing is fine. It just, you know, was probably my preference that they look, you know, probably slightly nicer stitched. But, yep, that's those. So we did 1, 2, 3. So I've only completed 3 because the other ones want, oh no, 4. I've done 4. And then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which isn't too bad, is it? So, so sorry, I had to just stop there because I was then choking. Right, so let me know what you think. Wish me luck for my couscous meal tonight. Hope that I don't mess it up. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I hope you all have a fantastic day. Really appreciate a big thumbs up for this video, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks then. Bye.